Hey YouTube, this is your Yahoo Weeps. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm going to be talking about law versus grace. Which one wins, law versus grace? Okay, there is the scripture that says that we're not under law, but we're under grace. What does it mean when it says law, and what does it mean when it says grace? Okay, law in Brit Hadashah, New Covenant, what people call New Testament, is the Greek word nomos, and from my understanding it means law. Now, the Hebrew word Torah actually means instructions. Now, some of these instructions can be similar to laws, as in you really need to do them. It's not going to be a good thing if you don't. Now, of course, there is, like, say, the law of gravity. And you can try to break the law of gravity, but the law of gravity will usually prevail. If you try to jump off a cliff, a cliff to be breaking the law of gravity, the law of gravity is going to win. There is, like, say, the second law of thermodynamics, where the universe is running down entropy. There's mathematical laws, scientific laws. These things happen. Now, I think there is a major difference between the Torah, the instructions of Yahweh, the instructions that he gives us, the instructions that the Creator gives us, and the man-made laws of humanity. If you're going through a neighborhood and the speed limit is 25, and say you go 27, you're breaking the law. But if there's nobody around, it may not be that big a deal. Anyways, I'm not going to go into human law, but the first instruction that we find in Scripture is when Yahweh says to Adam and, well, actually the male Adam and the female Adam, he says, "Be fruitful and multiply." How are you fruitful and multiply? You have sex. So the first instruction that Yahweh gave to the male and female Adams was to have sex. So, I think that there's a little bit of difference between our Creator's instructions and man-made instructions. But in the Greek Brit Hadashah, New Covenant, it does not distinguish which is which. It just says nomos. So it just interprets Torah as nomos, and the man-made laws as nomos, and there is a difference. That's another thing that makes me think that it was originally written in Hebrew, later translated into Aramaic, and later translated into Greek. Now, when I look at the different laws that are in the Brit Hadashah New Covenant, I find several of them. There's the law of the Spirit Ruach of life, and Mashiach Yeshua. There's the law of sin and death. There's the law of nature. There's the perfect law of liberty. And there's the royal law. Now, the law of nature in Romans 2:14. You know what? I want to look that up. I'm going to pull that up, but I'm going to keep on talking as I'm pulling it up so that you're not bored with my video. Yay! Okay, the law of the Ruach of life and Mashiach Yeshua. The Ruach is the breath. The breath or the breath of life, the life, the essence of life. So the law of the Ruach of life and Mashiach Yeshua. Romans 2:14. Let me go to that really quick. Not prepared again. Shame, shame, shame on me. 2:14. It says in Romans 2:14, because when Gentiles who do not have the Torah or the law by nature do what is in the Torah or law. Although not having the Torah or law, they are a law to themselves. So I think what that is saying is they don't have the Torah, they don't have Yahweh's instructions. But by the nature of who they are and the way that Yahweh has created them, they do what's in Yahweh's instructions. Although they don't have his written instructions, they're his instructions, they're the law to themselves. They're the Torah to themselves, his instructions to themselves. They're living out his instructions, even though they don't have the written instructions, even though they haven't been told, do not murder. If they make sure they don't murder, well, they're actually living out his instructions. That's my interpretation of that. And then the law of, that was the law of nature, the law of the Ruach of life in Mashiach Yeshua, Romans 8 verse 2. It says, because the Torah of the Spirit of the, or Ruach of the life in Mashiach Yeshua has set me free from the law of sin and of death. So the Torah of the Spirit of life in Mashiach Yeshua, well, Mashiach Yeshua lived out Yahweh's Torah. So the Torah of the breath of life in Mashiach Yeshua is actually Yahweh's instructions, and Yahweh gives the breath of life to Adam. And so when Yahweh gives the breath of life in Mashiach Yeshua, he's giving him his life, his instructions, the substance of who he is, his essence. And Sha'ul here, I think, is saying that the Torah, the instructions of Yahweh, the life of Yahweh, has set him free from the law of sin and of death. What's the law of sin and of death? Well, the law of sin and death, in my understanding, is basically the way things are in this world. There's the law, I guess I can't think of the correct word, but the way things are done in this world is that you're going to violate Yahweh's Torah. And actually, like I said in Romans 11:32, Yahweh states that he has consigned everyone to violate his will, his Torah, so that he can have mercy on everybody. He's consigned everyone to disobedience so that he can do this. So when you unite with his breath of life in Mashiach Yeshua, when you have the breath of life from Mashiach Yeshua, when you embrace Yahweh and you embrace his Torah and you embrace Mashiach Yeshua, the living sacrifice that is Mashiach Yeshua, the one sent by Yahweh, when you embrace him, you're empowered to be aligned with Torah, to be aligned with Yahweh's instructions, to be aligned with goodness, and you're set free from being sinful, and you're set free from death. So even though that you will die, death is not going to have power over you, because you're going to come to life again. And the life that you're going to come into is going to be very, very good. So that's my understanding of the law and Torah that's referenced in that verse. The perfect law of liberty would, of course, be Yahweh's Torah. Because if you look at Tehillah 119 over and over again, Yahweh's Torah is praised, and the speaker of that Tehillah or psalm is talking about how freeing it is, and how loved it is, and how he cherishes Yahweh's Torah. So that's the law of the perfect law of liberty. It's talking about the perfect Torah of liberty. The Torah that sets us free, that we're free from wrongdoing and error. We're free from having to have self-hatred because of what we see, the awfulness we see in ourselves. Because now, if you're walking according to Yahweh's instructions, you're living goodness and truth. And it says the royal law or royal Torah in Jacob or James chapter 2 verse 8, and that would of course be the Torah. I will look at that really quick just to make sure I know what I'm talking about. because it would probably be good if I did. Oh, come on. 2, 8. 2, 8. If you truly accomplish the sovereign law according to the scripture, so yeah, that would be the Torah. You will love your neighbor as yourself. You do well. If you truly accomplish the perfect and upright and ruling Torah according to the writings of Yahweh, you will love your neighbor as yourself. You will love your fellow human being as yourself. You do well. You're doing good. It's a good thing to do. So those are the laws I see. Now you can see where there's the verse that says, we are no longer under the law, but under grace. Now if you look at the Hebrew concepts of those terms, the law would actually be the Torah, would actually be Yahweh's instructions. And when it says we're no longer under the law, here is my note on that. The idea here is that Paul, or Sha'ul, is claiming we are no longer under condemnation because we are not transgressing the Torah, since we have passed out from under what the Torah condemns and into what the Torah approves, meaning under judgment condemned by the Torah, under the penalty prescribed for breaking the Torah, for violating the Torah. So that under the law means that you're not aligned with it anymore, you're under it. You're not aligned with Torah, you're not aligned with Yahweh's instructions, you're under it. You're violating it. You're being contrary to it. So now, by the nature of things, you're going to get punished, you're going to get disciplined. That I think Yahweh has set up the discipline so that it occurs naturally and occurs by His will in the world around us, that it's just the nature of things, that if you violate His Torah, there's going to be discipline. But if we're not under the Torah, if we're walking according to the Torah, then we don't need to be disciplined because we're aligned with the Torah. So when it says we're not under the law, we're not under the Torah, we're not in the condemnation that the Torah prescribes, but we're under grace, and that the grace, the Hebrew word would actually be chain, and this is my understanding of chain. It actually means the camp, and it is referring to, like, the Jeff Benner made a really good, really helpful, good teaching on this, and I will try to include the link to his teaching in the description. But he says that it's basically the camp, and their idea of the camp was, well, okay, first there's the tent, and the pictograph, there's the pictographic letter bait, and the Hebrew bait is a picture of the tent plan, the floor plan of the tent, and it's basically like a spiral. And the very inward part of the tent is the place where the women and children would live, and the outer part towards the door is where the men would live. And it was set up that way so that, say, if there were invaders or anything, they would have to go through the men first to be able to get to the women and children. So the men were basically like the defense of the women and children. But they would have tents, and they would, like in their camp, they would have one tent next to each other in some kind of circle formation, in some kind of enclosed area, making an enclosed area in the center, so that there would be an area that was surrounded by tents. And that area inside was basically the safe place where the children could play, where the animals could be. That was the safe place of the camp. Now, outside of those tents was a possibly hostile area. Invaders might come, wild animals might come, whatever, you know. But inside the tented area was the safety zone, basically. And so that was basically like the safe place. That was like a place that they associated with preciousness, with beauty, protection, rescue, security, comfort, refuge, strength, healing, and uplifting. All of those concepts would be included in the Hebrew word chain, which gets translated to grace, but actually If you take the concept of the camp and put it into our modern concept, it would be more like home. I think home would be a better accurate way to translate that. Um, so we're no longer under the instructions, we're no longer in violation of the instructions, but we're covered by home, by Yahweh's home, by preciousness and beauty, protection, rescue, security, comfort, refuge, strength, healing, and uplifting. All of those good things, the warmth and comfort and security of home. Home, the idealistic picture of home. The place that you feel comfortable at, the place that you feel secure at, the place that is your comfortable surroundings, which is a place of beauty and comfort and warmth and protection. That's the home. That's what grace actually is, I think. So I think that's the correct understanding. Now, I also think that with Yahweh's instructions are about how to get home. He's the home that we're heading towards. Yahweh himself is our home. He is all of those things. The precious as beauty, rescue, comfort, protection, refuge, strength, healing, and uplifting. He is all of those things for us. And his instructions are basically like the directions on how to get home. So I think law versus grace is a very false dichotomy. I think what it actually is we're no longer under condemnation for being violators of Torah. We no longer need that discipline and correction for violating Torah, because he's put something within us to where we want to keep Torah. We want to abide by Torah. We want to follow Yahweh's instructions. We don't want to murder anymore. We don't want to rip people off. We don't want to do wrong to people. That is, if you're someone who wants to follow Yahweh's instructions, if you're a follower of him, if you love him, and that you see that he is your home, that you're going toward, that you're traveling to, going down the way of Yahweh, the tzaddik path, walking in life according to the way of Yahweh, following his instructions as your guide on how to get home. And he is your home, he's your destination. And actually, it will eventually be everyone's destination, even if they're lost now. That's where we're going. So law versus grace, false dichotomy. It's actually the instructions on how to get home. And I look forward to seeing you there. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Hope I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think I am. I think that's everything. But Yahweh bless your day. And shalom. Have a very good life. Evening, morning, whenever you watch this, daytime, afternoon, whatever. Shalom, slan, adios, heda, I think. No, wait, that's wrong. Or is that wrong? Oh, crap. This is just from memory. My memory's crap. So, anyways, shalom. And au revoir. Bon voyage. Arrivederci. Sabaydi. До свидания.